Hey guys, George Palau. Today I want to talk about the 10 qualities of a successful business owner. Not coming from business, I made a ton of mistakes. Once I learned these things, I was able to be more profitable, more predictable, grow my business, and so I hope they add value to you. Quality number one is they're predictable. They show up at the same time every day. They have a predictable schedule. Just like a restaurant has hours of operations, or any business in the world has hours of operations, 9 to 5, 9 to 9. You got to kind of have hours of operation. You have to have predictable habits. And those things start developing consistency. And then once you have a consistent basis, right, a base, you could start really analyzing that to say, hey, this is what this consistent action is producing. How do I, if I want to get to that next level, how do I grow that? What if I do 10% more? And then you start realizing that your consistency creates predictability in your business. So that's quality number one. They're consistent. They show up at the same time every day. They're predictable. Quality number two, they invest in their business. Oftentimes when people come from having a job, you never had to put money into your business. I remember when I got started and I'm paying for my license and I'm paying for these different things, my dad asked me, he says, son, if you got a job, why are you having to pay for those things? They should pay for them for you. My dad was right from a job perspective, right? Because when you work somewhere, they pay for those things. So I called my broker and I said, hey, I'm just asking, I'm 18 years old, I'm trying to understand this more. My dad asked me a question. Can I ask you, why did I have to pay for these things if, this is a job? And he said, this is not a job. This is a business. You're getting into building your own insurance agency. You're going to get a license. You're paying for your license. You're paying for this. And I said, okay, I got it. Fingerprint, state license, software. So I understood that I had to invest money into my business. That's common for people that know that they're going to open a restaurant, or that they're going to open a bed and breakfast, or they're going to open a shop where they sell cell phones, or they're going to open some kind of mechanic shop or body shop. Like when like there's a cost for equipment, furniture, machine, etc., then you start having that mentality. But when you get involved in sales as an entrepreneur, sometimes you don't really understand that you're going to have to invest in those things. And that leads to number three, they have an office, they have a place of doing business. I know we live in a virtual world today, and so a lot of people say, George, I don't need an office, that's just an expense. For me, I have an office in my home, and I do a lot of meetings there when I need to, and I'm with my family, and it's in between, let me jump on there. But I want to be in an environment around other people where there's that energy. I want people to be able to come to my office and say, wow, you guys really have a 25,000 square foot office. Like, look at the meeting areas and the setup and the speakers and the whiteboards and the conference room, the desks and the branding. And people start to understand that, man, you're really serious about your business because you're investing into that, right? So that's a big part, having a location. It's different when you work out from home versus you work out in a gym. When I'm in the gym and I see other people getting it and the music's going, right, there's no distractions. Sometimes putting yourself in that environment helps you perform better. So point number three is they have a place of doing business. Point number four, they have a support staff. I'll kind of tell you, at this level, to run the business that we have, I have a licensing specialist. I have two new business specialists that help with clients onboarding, teaching agents, helping new agents. We have a marketing partner. We have a videographer. We have an editor. We have an office manager. We have an accountant, CPA bookkeeper. We have a personal business analyst, coach. And so there are people that I have now that are supporting our business. And it makes a huge difference when you have the right support. Sometimes you have great ideas and you want to grow the business, but you're limited by your capacity. And so you have to learn to hire other people. One of the biggest challenges for new entrepreneurs is they're like, well, that's an expense. I can do it. I'll do it all. And then you burn yourself out and you don't keep the vision in front of you, the dream in front of you, the main purpose in front of you. And so you're using your disk space, your processor, your brain, your energy, and it's being wasted in areas that somebody else can do it 80, 90, 95%, or even better than you in an area. There's people that work with me that do tasks that I can't do, that I wouldn't be passionate about doing, that I don't enjoy doing, and they do, right? Spreadsheets, pivot tables, all these things. I don't enjoy that part. Video editing, I don't enjoy that part. There's certain things that I just don't enjoy, but I like the results of it. So you got to find the things that are the most important in your business that you have to do. And that only you can do. And then from there, you got to delegate the rest, but you got to invest in staff. Point number five. They have a system for everything. How we greet the front door, how we do tours, how we interview, how we present to clients, how we handle issues, how we handle conflicts, how we choose training, how we run our weekly schedule, how we assign trainers, how we process when new appointments come in. Every single thing is a system. Hey, where do I get the schedule? It's on the website. Hey, announcements. When we make announcements, where do we put them? We put them on the website. Hey, how do we run contests? Here's the metrics that we have. This is how we judge everybody. This is how we score everybody for the contest. Okay. Hey, how do we handle finances in the office? This is how we handle finances. There's a system for everything. So anytime somebody comes to me with an issue, right, there's a system for how to deal with issues. Every single thing that you want your business to do or you want to be successful in, there's a system. We did a series on conflicts. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend it. And there's a big part of when you have conflicts, how it's a lack of having a system in that area, a well-defined system or something that you've done, that you've created, but maybe you're not implementing it, or maybe it requires more training to the people that are running that system. So that's number 5, that they have a system for everything. Point number 6. They track numbers. They track every single metric that you can imagine. In our business, we're constantly bringing on board new agents. So we look at how many prospects, how many calls, how many appointments, what did you close, how many client meetings, what did you close, what do you generate per client, points per client, apps per client. Hey, how many new agents, how many got licensed, how many actually wrote business. Hey, how many got a first check, right? Hey, how many got promoted, how many went through fast start school. There's certain metrics that we have where we're looking at that conversion. So they're always tracking numbers, right? They're always analyzing their data. Hey, this is what we brought in. This is what got spent. Did this go up? Did this go down? What's the return on investment that we're getting? You're measuring data. So I didn't know how to do this when I first got started in business, since I don't come from sales. Now that I've understood this process of being consistent, analyzing data, finding areas of improvement, those same habits we're now introducing to what we're doing on the social media marketing video side, right? Hey, what did we produce? What was the view? How we can get better? What got a good response? What didn't do well? How do we introduce the video better? How do we start the video better? How do we engage with people? How do we engage with comments? How do we produce consistently? How do we improve that? What other partners do we need? What other services do we need? What other departments do we need, right? So all the things that I thought about that I did for my insurance business, I've now implemented those same things in our marketing and video business that we're doing in social media branding and all those things. So the recipe for this of tracking data, when you're not a salesperson, entrepreneur, CEO, you're not used to measuring data, but that's what CEOs do. That's what business owners do. It's constantly looking at data so that that data tells a story. And if you analyze it, right, then you can find areas of improvement. Point number 7, they always aim at beating their prior best numbers. So that kind of builds off point number 6, which is tracking data. When you're looking at that, that gives you a metric of, hey, this is what we did last month. What if we can beat that, right? We're growing our associate count here in Austin, new branch, new territory. And so we're always measuring, hey, how many agents did we have? We had 260 agents here at training. How do we get to 400? What can we do? What incentives? What ideas? What initiatives? How can we break this down? How can we involve people in this process, right? But they're always trying to beat their prior best. When you realize that, there's a level of peace that I have when I understand that it's me versus me. And while I look at other people that are doing good and they have talents and strengths and I want to develop those things and copy those things and make them my own, right? I'm also looking at myself to say, what's your best, George? Because I know I can beat my prior best. There's this great quote that I learned when I was getting started in business and I was looking at these guys that were making millions and I was like, man, I'm so far away from that person. And there was this quote that says, don't compare, compete. Because anytime you compare, you're going to find a shortcoming. But when you compete with yourself, right? When you compete with yourself, you can make progress because it's you versus you. And there's, stories that you'll hear and examples of that. Like, don't judge, your chapter 1 by somebody else's chapter 10. Now, some people will hear that, and if you have a victim mentality, unfortunately, and you have an excuse mentality, I've also heard people say, I don't compare, I don't compete with anybody, it's just me against me. Well, when you're not winning and you're also not competing against yourself, you can't say that unless you're truly beating your prior number. If you keep putting up zeros or bad numbers and you keep saying that I'm going to compete against me, you kind of maybe need to find some reasons that you're doing that outside of competition, but truly find somebody that's outside of you that has better habits that maybe you do need to compete with or duplicate their habits. Point number 8, they're risk takers. They're always looking to say, man, what's my next? And they don't wait always. I'm not saying, mortgage the house and your family's going to be homeless and you spend all your money that month and you have no money for groceries for your family. I'm not saying that. Don't endanger your family because you have an idea or a goal or a dream. Figure out how you could provide for them, and then what do you need to do to make extra income, or maybe you got to work a 40-hour job and you got to do this on the side. You cannot endanger the people that you love, okay? I was 18, 19, single, living at home. I didn't have kids. Worst case scenario, I'm going to not make some money that month and be late on a phone bill. I was able to take risks that I can't take as 37, married, husband, 3 mortgages, family, responsibilities, kiddos, all that stuff. And so don't endanger your family, but take risk where you can take risks. Don't be too cautious. I remember when I got my first office, I said, man, how much is a desk here? Okay. And I didn't have the money. I wasn't making that money, but I said, I'm going to get a desk, right? That was a risk. I remember when I said, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go full time in this. That was a risk. I remember when I signed my first lease for my own office building, I go up to the gentleman. We had just left another firm and we were starting our own company, and we didn't have income for that time while we were getting the ability to start selling insurance with new carriers. And so we didn't have any income, got behind on credit cards, got behind on certain bills, and was in the middle of a lawsuit because that company was trying to put us out of business and so forth. And so I go up to this landlord and I say, hey, I just want you to know I've never been late on my rent. This is what's going on when you run my credit. This is what's going on. But even through that, I'm still paying rent at the office. We're making it happen. I'm sure at one point in your life, somebody, took a chance on you, and you asked somebody for an opportunity. You asked somebody for a chance. I'm asking you that you give me that same opportunity. And if you do, I won't let you down. And, we'll pay the rent and we'll be great tenants. And that person, right, gave me a chance to open my first office. I had $2,000 to my name, total money to my name. And the monthly rent was $3,600. We were behind on all these bills. We were in the middle of a lawsuit. Some people would say that's the worst time ever to open an office. See, sometimes you got to make big decisions at the worst time. So you're a risk taker, hiring staff, expanding. There's risk in that. Even putting content out there. Some people, will get negative opinions. There's risk in that, right? When you stand for something, right, you're going to stand up against something else. So meaning not everybody's going to be a fan. Not everybody's going to agree with your message. There's a risk in that. There's a risk in, sharing what you really believe and putting yourself out there. So whatever that risk is for you, whether that's investing in your business, hiring staff, taking a leap of faith. We moved to Austin recently, my wife, my son, and we moved out here and we bought our dream house, and we had 20 people move with us, 25 people move with us. And there was a risk. We're moving to a new city in a new state, never been here before, don't have a market here. What are we going to do? And you know what happened? It was our best year we've ever had in my entire career. Why? Because there was a risk. See, sometimes when you take that risk and you're all in, you're going to bring out a side of you that you've never seen before. So take the right risk. Point number 9. They do everything with a purpose. They're purpose-driven people. We recently did a video on the 4 different levels of belief, and we go from non-believer to doubter to believer to purpose-driven, crusade-driven. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you watch that video. But they do everything with a purpose. There's significance. It's bigger. They have a clear vision. They have a clear dream. They have clear goals. All right, and there's your personal goals that you have, and then there's the goals that you have for the people that are around you, maybe your wife, your husband, your kids. Then there's your agents, your partners. What are their goals and their dreams for them, for their families, and what are your dreams for your employees or your agents? And so, you do everything with a purpose. You do everything with an intention. You're a purpose-driven person. There's a real crusade. There's a real mission. There's a real vision, something that really matters to you. There was times where, just making a certain income, and that's going to drive you to a certain point, but that's not going to drive the people that you're leading. You got to really get clear on that vision. And it's okay if you don't know what that exactly is, but that's an exercise of using your imagination, creativity, journaling, writing, asking, meeting people, getting clear on what questions. Hey, how did you find your purpose? How did you find your mission? How did you find your dream? So maybe that's an area that you're looking for right now. So start asking people those questions. And lastly, point number 10. Business owners are constantly looking for ways to improve as leaders. They set goals and they achieve them. When you look at that and you say they're always looking for ways to achieve goals, right? They're always improving themselves as a leader. That means that they're always getting better. We have four sayings in our company, right? Outwork, out-improve, out-strategize, outlast. Business owners are always looking to improve. I've done things in the past where it's about competition. I'm like, man, I really want to compete with that person. I want to compete with that office. We got to do this. We got to do that. And that's great. And that'll get you to a certain part. But when you go into the part of creating, right, versus just competing, but creating, like, what does an elite experience look like? And what would it look like for us? Like in our office, the moment you get here, there's stanchions and it's like VIP. And then you get a notebook and a pen and a water and you're a guest and you're like, man, these people are treating me with such hospitality, and then you get a private tour. We used to do tours with 15, 20 people, 10 people. And we're like, man, we read a book and it talked about private tours. How Nick Saban said, man, we got to give people elite experiences. So we're like, hey, we got to take that and apply that. So we're going to limit our tours to 2-3 people per tour so that they can get a better experience. And then how do we greet people and how do we do a better job of greeting people and hospitality? And then what's their experience like and how do we show gratitude and how are we thankful? right? And we analyze these things and how do we do better and how do we make it funner for our agents. And we just recently bought 2 king chairs, like for a king. And there's 6 feet tall chairs that you sit in. It looks like you're a king. And then there's smaller ones we bought because we want to recognize certain things. So we're getting the chairs there. And then we're starting a comedy night where once a quarter we're going to have comedians come in and perform and invite clients. So we're thinking about, like, how do we get better? How do we improve these things? And who do we need on the team? And, man, we need a marketing person. We need graphic. We need web. We need this. We need that. Okay, well, let's get that. Man, we need setup people. Let's get that. How do we do a better job? How do we give a better experience to everybody, clients, agents? So you're always looking for ways to get better. I just had a call today with one of the experts in our industry, in the insurance industry, Doug Andrews, and we're talking, and it's, hey, George, we reached out to you because we see you have a team. And I'm like, okay, well, how do we do this with our guys so we can get them skill set better? And, we work with major insurance investment companies. How can we bring them to our office? Hey, once a month, we need to bring the top performers in around the country, and we're investing money in, and hey, after party, and, barbecue and holidays. And how do we do this? And how do we make sure that, Mother's Day, that the moms are appreciated? You're just looking for a way to build this culture. You're looking for a way to get technically more proficient, culturally more proficient. You're always looking to improve. You're looking at what areas do you need to work in as a leader? What areas do your people need to grow in, right? Who do you need to be able to grow? What's your plan for that? There's so much opportunity, guys, to constantly get better. It's unlimited. And so leaders are always getting better. So whatever one of the 10 points you need to improve in, or maybe it's multiple, or maybe it's all 10, okay? Go back and take notes on each one and journal and say, hey, how am I doing this from a 0 to 10? And what does a 10 look like in this area? And if you go through that and you come up with a real plan for you, and then you execute that plan, you're going to realize that you're more in control of your future and your life than you think. And people are looking for leaders that are like that are clear on where they're going and they're committed. And if that's you, man, whatever you're doing, whatever business you're in, you're going to build a great following because people need people like that in their life. Please post your comments below, subscribe, share this video with somebody if you got value, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care, guys.